Eccoci qua, buonasera a tutti. Come state? Benvenuti a questa sessione. Prometto che è in inglese, it'll be in English for the questions, but un benvenuto a tutti, studenti di tutti i livelli. Facciamo una prova audio, sempre paura. Funzionerà? Uh, is the sound out of sync? Buonasera a tutti, buonasera. Buonasera, mi sposto. Can you all hear me okay? No, è perfetto? Perfetto. Bene, perfetto. Jim, you don't like English. Here's the thing. You will not learn the theory of anything in Italian with me because, one, that's what everybody else is doing, and two, it's not useful to learn the difficult concepts while you're trying to understand the language, so we don't do that here. So happy to have everybody here. How many? Well, actually, that's only YouTube. We're also live on Facebook. And perfetto. Allora, I will set my questions in front of me, and we're good. All right. So today we are talking about a monster of a topic, il passato prossimo. One of the many Italian past tenses, and it's tricky. So this is a Q&A. I'm going to try and answer the best questions that you have, and help you understand how it works and where you find it difficult, where you know that you're making mistakes. Obviously, no, Jim, I know. I like to explain it because sometimes there are negative comments about, but why are you speaking in English? Well, if I spoke in Italian, you wouldn't understand what I'm saying. the technical side, always listen to as much Italian as possible when it's about topics that you find interesting and relaxing. So get ready with your questions, and I will try and make a selection of the questions that I believe are the most useful for everybody. So I'm sorry if I cannot answer all the questions, but it's about being, as useful as I possibly can. So the passato prossimo is a past tense, and in Italian we mostly use three past tenses. What? Yes, we use the passato prossimo for things that took place or didn't take place, started and finished in the past. Like, I went to Italy, I bought a car, I slept well yesterday. So things that happened and finished. The imperfetto to describe things in the past, so a state of being just in the past, like, I was tired when I was little, when I was young, I used to like music, I still do, but like those descriptions. But then we use also the trapassato prossimo, which is for things that happened in the past before another past action. You didn't know that, maybe? For things like quando sei arrivato ieri, avevo già cucinato. Quando sei arrivato ieri, avevo già cucinato. So when you arrived yesterday, that's a passato prossimo, avevo già cucinato. I had already cooked. So that was before the passato prossimo. Good. So we use those three main past tenses, and then if we need to use the subjunctive mood, we also use the same three in the subjunctive mood, which I'm not touching on. So today I'm not going to teach you how the passato prossimo works. I do have some slides ready that, just in case, I used in we're producing intermediate Italian level 3, where we are going to learn the conditional past, and the subjunctive, and that course is being produced, so it's in beta. I don't even know if you can enroll right now. Probably not. It'll be ready soon. But yeah, the first unit was a review of the passato prossimo. So I've got some slides if you have questions. So, do you have any questions? I would like to check that I'm getting all the messages. Donna, your intermediate Italian 3 review of passato prossimo is great. Grazie. My team is excellent because they help so much. The knowledge comes out of my brain, but anything else comes out of their effort. How do you ask questions in passato prossimo? Let me see if I can. Well, that's a straightforward question. How do you ask questions in the passato prossimo? Let me think if there's any difficulty there. So, for example, how do you ask questions in general? There are two ways: intonation and a question word. Intonation would be like, if I say sei americano, that's a statement. If I say sei americano, that's a question. So we don't have inversion of subject and things like that. And you know that. I don't know if that's... Nah, there's no point having the chat there anyway. So that's the intonation approach. So in the passato prossimo would be just the same. So if my statement is hai mangiato la pizza ieri, that's a statement. Hai mangiato la pizza ieri. You ate pizza yesterday. Hai mangiato la pizza ieri. The question would be hai mangiato la pizza ieri? It's all intonation. So nothing changes. Hai mangiato la pizza ieri? Hai mangiato la pizza? Make it sound like a question. Then you have the second approach, which is the question word, like dove, come, quando, perché, those ones. And it's the same between present tense and passato prossimo. If I would say, where do you live? Dove abiti? If I would say, where did you used to live? Dove abitavi? Imperfetto. And if I would say, where have you lived in your life? Dove hai abitato? So it's the same as the present tense. There are no tricks there. Can you say era un bel giorno o è stato un bel giorno? Good question. Era un bel giorno, è stato un bel giorno. I didn't prepare slides for me to type. Let's see if I can type something. I didn't prepare for that. Okay. So the question is, can you say era un bel giorno o è stato un bel giorno? Tecnologia. It's coming. Allora. Oh, I'm usually in my black studio when I do this, so now the text is white and you cannot see it. Aspetta. Eccolo qua. And make it a little bigger. Oh, che complicato. Eccolo qua. Era un bel giorno. Era un bel giorno o è stato un bel giorno? I don't think I can type two things. Era un bel giorno. Or the other option, è stato. And with black text, I really have a hard time. No. O è stato un bel giorno. Okay, so era... I'm not gonna do the typing anymore because that's frustrating. Scusate. Era un bel giorno o è stato un bel giorno? So you can say both. It all depends on the context of what you're saying. So if I want to describe the day when my child was born, and I'm just saying, when my child was born, it was a beautiful day. So that's a description in the past. So when my child was born, that's something that happened. Quando è nato mio figlio, o quando è nata mia figlia, that's passato prossimo. But if I'm saying that the day was being good, then I would say, era una bellissima giornata. Quando è nato mio figlio, era una bellissima giornata. So, era un bel giorno. So I would have said the imperfetto because I'm describing. But if we come to the end of the day, so we hang out today and we do a lot of fun things, and then we get to the end of the day and I say, that was a really good day. Or technically, I say, it's been a good day. Today has been a good day. Then I would say, è stato un bel giorno. Because the day is ended. And I'm describing it as an event. The whole thing has been... I'm pushing the boundaries of English, as I always do, because I'm trying to make a point. So, hope that was kind of helpful. Let me see. Juno, I've mistakenly used imperfetto when I should have used the past perfect. Will Italians understand? Oh, if you use... It depends. It depends. because here we're not talking about a mispronunciation, a mistake, or not the right word, you know, like not the specific term that we would use. In those cases, we would understand for sure. Or, you know, even gender of the words, of the adjectives. Who cares if you said una camicia bianco? We know that you meant white and it's for camicia. So in those cases, I would say, yeah, no problem. Using the wrong tense, people will just get the wrong idea of what you meant. It's like if I messed it up in English and instead of saying I'm hungry as opposed to I was hungry. If I say I'm hungry, then you want to feed me now. If I say the correct thing, which I was hungry, then you don't feed me. You're just listening. So it's the same in Italian between passato prossimo and imperfetto. It might change the story that you're telling. Let me see if I can come up with something. Let me see. Well, you know, if I say ieri ho comprato una camicia. Yesterday I bought a shirt. Ieri ho comprato una camicia. That means that I went out, I went to a shop, I purchased the thing, I left with the thing, and now I have a thing. The shirt, la camicia. But if I tell you, ieri compravo una camicia, what the Italian listener is expecting is the rest of the story. Because if you say ieri compravo una camicia, it's similar to the English, yesterday I was buying a shirt, and then you say, and? So that's the problem with using the wrong tense between passato prossimo and imperfetto. But you know, as a listener, if there's no and, then I think, oh, okay, they meant that they bought it. So it's still okay. You know, people are a lot smarter than, like, as in, when we deal with somebody speaking for a language, people make allowances, right? Perfetto. Let me see. Oh, Susan, the best explanation I've gotten so far? And probably that was a quick explanation, right? Allora, vediamo if there are any questions that I'm gonna move the chat to the other side. Makes more sense, right? And again, everything's set up for my black background. Donna, ero perso, I was lost. Mi sono perso, I was lost yesterday. How would you say I went for a walk yesterday and got lost? Perfetto. I think here is a matter of thinking about the purpose of your question. So basically, ero perso or mi sono perso. Think of this. If you use the imperfetto, in your brain, think, I'm gonna have to use the translation in English, but in your brain you don't want to translate, right, all the time. But to explain, I have to. If you say ero perso, or ero persa, because you're a woman, you are describing a state of being in the past. So it's like saying, I was blonde, I was tall, I was Italian, I was lost. It's one of the things that you were. So can you say ero persa? Yes. But this is more, I would say, ero perso more in a way of I was lost and then I found God. That kind of, so it's about I was being lost. I was, one of the adjectives that described me, apart from being Italian, short and shaved, was lost. So can you say ero perso? Yeah, of course you can, but in most cases you are not going to say that because you are probably, you were lost, meaning I went to Rome, I was looking for a place and I got lost. So your being lost is something that happened. That's how we perceive it. So we're going to use the passato prossimo, mi sono perso for a man and mi sono persa. That's because perdersi is a reflexive verb. If it's too much, don't worry. So mi sono perso, I got lost, meaning I was lost as in, excuse me sir, mi scusi signora, or scusi signore, mi sono perso. I find like I did something and the thing that I did was getting lost. Okay, so that's the difference. So how would you say, yesterday I went for a walk and I got lost? See, you said it right in English. You said yesterday I did two things. I went for a walk and I got lost. So you did two things. You're not describing how you were feeling. Then in Italian it would be two passato prossimos. Ieri ho fatto una passeggiata e mi sono persa. Ho fatto una passeggiata, I went for a walk, or I did a walk, e mi sono persa, and I got lost as a woman. Bene? Isabel dice, ero persa in classe di matematica. Sì, ero persa, o mi sentivo persa. I felt lost. Mi sentivo persa durante le lezioni di matematica. We say lezione. Isabel, I smell some Spanish or Portuguese speaker there. Classe it's the classroom. It's the actual physical room. Classe in Italian. It's not the lesson. Allora, let me see. Oh, there's so many messages. Oh, there's too many. I have to go back too much. Prego, Juno. Elio, prima di aver mangiato, where does the word aver come from? Prima di aver mangiato. So this one is not really passato prossimo, but I can deal with it quickly. Prima di aver mangiato, aver is avere. Prima di avere mangiato. And it's the same as English before having eaten. So in English you use the ing version of having, and then eaten, which is the past participle of to eat. In Italian we do the similar thing. Before having eaten, prima di aver mangiato. But we use the infinitive. Bene? Buonasera, vedo Linda. E Stefania, any tips to understand and remember the passato prossimo in an easy way? Understand, I think it's easy because you are going to hear mostly the past participle. You're going to hear the word like mangiato, bevuto, finito, parlato, scritto. There's a lot of irregular ones. When you hear those words, the ato, uto, ito ending, so the past participle, unless it's irregular, like perso, preso, visto, they're all irregular. That tells you that it's a passato prossimo. Now, in terms of how you can learn it, any tips to learn it quickly? You will hate me, but it's just use it. The more you use it, the more you are going to really assimilate it. And I think if you're an English speaker, usually something that can help is change in your brain that you're going to use always the present perfect in English. So instead of saying yesterday I went, yesterday I've gone, which is totally weird. So maybe it's easier if you don't do it and you just do it in Italian. I don't know. Okay. Let me see. Christian, would I say, ieri mi sono sbrigata, o ieri mi ero sbrigavo? Well, mi ero sbrigavo, you cannot do that because ero is the imperfetto of essere and sbrigavo is the imperfetto of sbrigarsi. So you can't have two imperfettos one after the other. So you could say ieri mi sbrigavo, but it's imperfetto. That means you're describing an ongoing action, a state of being. Yesterday I was rushing, and then I would say, and what? Ieri mi sbrigavo per prepararmi perché il treno stava per partire. Like yesterday I was rushing because the train was about to leave. Sorry if I'm rushing the words, but so I don't think you would use sbrigarsi to hurry up in the imperfetto a lot because well, it depends. It depends if you're describing of something that happened. So when would you say mi sono sbrigato or mi sono sbrigata, which is the passato prossimo? Mi sono sbrigato. I rushed. Well, it's to describe an action that took place. If I come to you and like because you say Manu, come over, and then I'm there in 5 minutes, then I'm there and you say wow Manu, and then I say mi sono sbrigato perché sembrava importante. Mi sono sbrigato. I rushed. How is that different from the imperfetto? I mean, that's the thing that you may have a hard time understanding. Why passato prossimo makes more sense here? Because I'm saying mi sono sbrigato because it's something that I did. It's the same as mi sono lavato. I washed myself. Or mi sono alzato, because it happened. So if I rushed to you, I wouldn't use the imperfetto, because why would I tell you I was rushing? I'm already here. Okay? So I'm gonna use what I did, which is mi sono sbrigato. And then in my sentence I said perché sembrava urgente. Perché sembrava, that's imperfetto, because it seemed the thing, because back when you called me, that experience had the quality of sounding important. So I'm describing a quality there, or like an ongoing state. I'm trying to not focus on the difference between passato prossimo and imperfetto, so keep your questions on the passato prossimo. I know it's really hard. Allora, Isabel, you're a Spanish teacher. Awesome. Insegnante di spagnolo. Vediamo. Suzanne, che cosa hai fatto di bello? That's a very Italian phrase. Che cosa hai fatto di bello? What have you been up to? So don't translate che cosa hai fatto di bello with literally what have you done of beautiful. They're not calling you beautiful, sorry. They're just saying what have you been up to? What have you been up to? Che cosa hai fatto di bello? What have you done that has tickled your, like it's been interesting. Bene, bene, bene. There's so many questions, so hard. I never ask you to use the super chat because I don't want you to pay to ask me questions, but sometimes it just really helps if you use the super chat. Only in YouTube is available. I'm looking at the questions that come from Facebook as well, but in terms of making your question visible to me with a donation, it's gonna keep it up there because there's so many. Okay. Rita, mi piacciono i verbi irregolari. Ok, anche a me, mi piacciono anche a me i verbi irregolari, sono interessanti. In English, for me, like, obviously. Allora. Paul says, basically, passato prossimo is the fixed past tense, meaning it's over and done with it, or it didn't happen, but still over and done with it. And imperfetto is ongoing, even though it started happening in the past. It can have finished in the past, but that's not the point of the story. Like, when I said, quando è nato mio figlio era una bellissima giornata, that day is way done, like it's many years ago. But I'm describing it as an ongoing thing. I'm just telling you the quality of the day. So it's like saying, yeah, I'm telling you the quality of the day, but in other cases, the imperfetto is an ongoing action. For example, suonavo la chitarra quando è arrivato Marco. I was playing the guitar when Marco arrived. Allora, allenatore. That's a scary question. When to use essere and when to use avere. I was waiting for it. That's what my slides are for. When to use the avere and essere. Now, hold your questions because this is going to take me a bit of time. So, passato prossimo is made up of two words, just like the English present perfect. So, I have worked, I have seen. Same in Italian, we have two words for the passato prossimo. The auxiliary and the past participle. The past participle or participle, I always get it wrong, but again, you understand me, so it doesn't matter, is the second word. That is the word that you're trying to express. If you're talking about sleeping, then the main word of that, ho dormito, is going to be dormito, which is sleep in the past participle, which is slept in English because it's irregular, but in Italian it's not. So dormire, dormito. But dormito by itself, it's not a full verb. It just means slept. But it doesn't mean I have slept. So here's the problem. In Italian, we have two options for the auxiliary, as allenatore said. It could be essere or avere, conjugated in the present tense, just like English. What do you mean, Manu, just like English? Well, in English you say, I have seen, she has seen. That has or have is the present tense of avere, of to have. In Italian we use the same. But we have either avere or essere. So, but it's not interchangeable. I cannot say sono dormito instead of ho dormito. Dormire only works with avere. And the question is, how do you know? And I wish everybody was in my courses, because there's nobody who's explained this stuff better than me. Let's be honest, and humble, but I know I make this work for students. I'll try and make it quick. It's got to do with, as Isabel says, transitive and intransitive verbs. So these are concepts that we have in English as well. And here's the thing, I'll try and be super succinct, but a transitive verb is a verb where the action transfers from the subject to the object, even when the object is not there. So for example, the verb to sing is transitive because you sing something. Even if I don't say what I was singing, ho cantato means I sang, because to sing implies that you sing something. To eat, you eat something. Mangiare, you eat something. Comprare, you buy something. Scrivere, you write something. Most verbs have an object, whether you say it or not, because they don't make sense without, because the verb has to affect something. Those are transitive. The beauty of all transitive verbs is that they all use avere in the passato prossimo. Always, only. Ho comprato, I bought, because you gotta buy something. Here's my test. Well, if you're in doubt whether a doubt is transitive or intransitive, you ask yourself, or you make a statement, well, you gotta verb something. For example, comprare, well, you gotta buy something, then it's avere. Ho comprato una penna, or a pen, silly thing to buy, but let's say cantare, well, you gotta sing something, then ho cantato, abbiamo cantato. Let's say pitturare, paint, well, you gotta paint something, so ho pitturato. So, and that's the idea. Then we have other verbs that don't work with an object, but mostly they don't need the object because it makes no sense to have an object. So, for example, morire, to die. To die is something that the thing does by itself. It dies. It's dead. It did it to itself. You can check that in English. You cannot die something. You can kill it, but you cannot die. So, to kill is transitive. In Italiano, ho ucciso, I have killed, ho ucciso. Morire is intransitive because the thing does it to itself. So we use essere. È morto, it died. It has died, è morto. There's a bunch of verbs that use essere that you are familiar with. Andare, because going is something that affects you only. You can go to a place, but you don't go a place. The going doesn't affect the place. You cannot, if I'm going to Rome, my going doesn't do anything to Rome. It moves me. So, vado a Roma, sono andato a Roma. But here's the problem, guys. I cannot tell you that intransitive verbs use essere, because that's not true. There are intransitive verbs that use avere. For example, dormire. If you look up dormire on a dictionary, it will tell you that it's intransitive, because think about it. When you sleep, it only affects you. But we say ho dormito, we don't say sono dormito. Piangere, when you cry, it only affects you. I cannot cry you, right? You can check the concept in your head in English. You cannot cry a person. You can cry over a person, but... So, piangere, if you look it up, it says intransitive. But we don't say sono pianto, we say ho pianto. So, what I teach in my courses, and if you are lucky enough to be enrolled in my Intermediate Italian Level 3, we reviewed the whole concept over only 3 lessons. And what I'm telling you is that I introduce a little bit of a made-up grammar that you will not find anywhere but my courses, and that is, you want to understand if you can push the boundaries of a verb that it's intransitive and see if it kind of makes sense with an object. So, can to cry kind of make sense with an object? Yes, because you can say you cry tears. Like I'm crying tears. So to cry, it's intransitive, but you are crying something, the tears. So, as Gattonero says, sleeping, yes, I'm only sleeping, it's me. But you can sleep a good sleep, kind of like you're sleeping asleep. So, but Manu, but that makes no sense. Then you can do that for everybody. Well, not every verb. Sorry, you can do it with every verb, but not really. I've gone a gun. I've gone a gun. I've gone a go. Like, it's just, so that's a little something that you can use to push boundaries and understand when to use essere for intransitive verbs. So just make sure that you're only using essere for intransitive verbs, but some will not use essere, and you can check with that method. Also, all reflexive verbs use essere all the time. So what's a reflexive verb? Arrabbiarsi. Arrabbiarsi, to get angry. Mi sono arrabbiato. Lisa si è arrabbiata. Lisa si è arrabbiata. She got angry. So arrabbiarsi, being reflexive, uses essere all the time. When we use essere, remember to agree the second word, the past participle has to agree, has to be like an adjective, masculine, feminine, and so on. There are verbs. The way I teach what's the word? Reflexive verbs is that I think they don't exist. There's only a handful of purely reflexive verbs, and so the way I teach reflexive verbs is that you can take any verb and make it reflexive. You're using a verb reflexively. You can do the same in English. To make is not reflexive. You make stuff. But if you make yourself a sandwich, then you use to make reflexively. Same. To sing is not reflexive, but you can sing yourself a song and then you made it reflexive. It's the same in Italian, so any verb can become reflexive, and when you do, the auxiliary has to be essere in the passato prossimo. I'll give you an example. Fare in the passato prossimo is ho fatto. I did, I made. Ho fatto. Ho fatto un dolce. I made a cake. Or a sweet. But if I want to make it reflexive, like I made myself a cake, then I would say mi sono fatto un dolce. So I've used essere as the auxiliary of fare, which, unless you're super advanced, may shock you. Like, Manu, you just said mi sono fatto, but fare doesn't use essere, but that's because I've used it reflexively. Okay, so ho fatto un dolce. I've used fare normally, like with an object, ho fatto un dolce. Mi sono fatto un dolce. Well, because the object of fare now is me, because I made myself. I mean, I'm the recipient, but anyway, that was a great question that took me not too long to cover, but super important. Molly, where do you place the reflexive term, me, and so on, before essere, or connected to the infinitive? Before essere. Mi sono lavato. You cannot say sono lavatomi. So mi sono lavato, I washed myself. Mi sono arrabbiato. Vi siete arrabbiati. You cannot put the reflexive attached to the infinitive like you can do in other situations. Good question. I never thought about that. Gatto nero, wow, cool, sei grande. Prego. Joe, mi ho fatto, that would be incorrect. You cannot say mi ho fatto, mi ho fatto. Mi ho fatto. So ho fatto means I did. But the moment you put the mi, you're making the verb reflexive. So you have to change the auxiliary to essere. Mi sono fatto. This actually, I love talking to students because this makes me think that's a lesson that I haven't actually taught. We'll have to add to my courses because the idea that you can take any verb and make it reflexive, I teach that, but then I don't know if I've pointed out that you have to change the auxiliary when you use it reflexive. Anyway, I'm improving my courses. Grazie mille, studenti. Vediamo. 100. You know why there's only 100 viewers on YouTube? Because I forgot to send an email reminding everybody that we were going live. Mano. So, we've been here for half an hour. If you have more important questions about the passato prossimo, please do ask, because that's what I'm here for. Help you understand the things that if you only use a book, you don't get. If you're learning Italian in Italian, I'm sorry for you, but that's too challenging and it's pointless. The only time I would learn a language in the language is when I'm already fluent. You know, for example, I'm already fluent in Portuguese, so if I want to learn some nuances of Portuguese and the video is in Portuguese, I'm fine. I can understand all of it. I'm not struggling to understand the explanation. I'm here to fill that gap, you know, for my students. In Spanish, yeah, that reflexive thing doesn't happen in Spanish. You're right. Me hecho. Yeah. But that's because Spanish doesn't ever use ser to be as a auxiliary. Anyway, piovere, Rita. Piovere can use either. È piovuto or ha piovuto. Yes. So any meteorological, anything to do with the weather, can have either auxiliary. So è piovuto or ha piovuto for it rained. È nevicato or ha nevicato. It snowed. Because, yeah, meteorological. I have to hear the word. I'm like you guys. Is there a difference between è piovuto and ha piovuto? No, it's personal choice. I have never used a weather-related verb with essere. Personally, I don't do it. I have never said è piovuto. Some people, that's what they say. And I don't like it. Buonanotte, Jim. And, you know, we might be leaving very soon, all of us, because I don't want to keep these live streams too long. I mean, the beauty of doing it... By the way, next Thursday, the first Thursday of every month, we have Caffè Italiano, which is fully in Italian. We try to keep those to half an hour because, one, we don't want to overwhelm you, and two, we have to subtitle them. This one can be longer because we don't have to subtitle it. Or eventually, the community will subtitle it. That's something I want to ask my community more often, probably in email, to add subtitles to English videos because it really helps the deaf community being able to read what I'm saying, even if it's in English. So we don't do it because it costs money to subtitle everything. We try to put our resources to the Italian content. You know, the podcast coming back soon, promise. Caffè Italiano, all in Italian. Yeah, so this one I can stay a bit longer because we don't have to subtitle it, and if it helps, then why not? Caffè Italiano. I'm trying to get a guest for next Caffè Italiano. So there'll be two Italians rambling in Italian, but we'll still keep it as a product that we create for learners of Italian. Otherwise, you can just watch anything in Italian. If you just got two Italians speaking in Italian, just don't come to us. We want to fill the gaps. That's our job. We are gap fillers. Italian Made Easy fills the gaps of everything that as a learner of Italian you cannot find. So yeah, if I do have a guest, we'll keep it you know, slower and knowing that we're talking to learners of Italian. Perfetto, Ryan, grazie a te, very useful. Molto bene. If there are no more questions, Barbara says, invite il volo. You know what? I have been thinking about reaching out to bigger names. I don't know. Should we try and get famous people? I'm not into famous people in general, okay? But it'd be cool. Oh, Jorge, no, that's not Jorge. I just saw one about. Yeah, Jorge, mi è piaciuto molto. Mi è piaciuto. So to like is a verb that's not reflexive, but piacere, it's always used with the indirect pronoun. So piacere always uses essere as the auxiliary in the passato prossimo. So we say mi è piaciuto. It was pleasing to me. It has been pleasing to me. I liked it. So mi è piaciuto. Do we say mi è piaciuto? Technically we say mi è piaciuto, but in practice we say m'è piaciuto. We blend the mi with the m'è piaciuto. Of course you can say mi è piaciuto, but it's just too many verbs. Mi è It sounds like weird. So I personally say m'è piaciuto. M'è piaciuto molto. T'è piaciuto il film? Ti è piaciuto il film? Now, if you're writing, you should write ti è piaciuto. But if you're speaking, blend things. We don't want to hear all the sounds, just like we don't hear them in English. We blend sounds when we speak naturally. So, oh, by the way, guys, studenti, we at Italian Passato, we are working on version 2 of my pronunciation course, which has helped thousands of people. We even gave it away for free during the pandemic. That course, we are going to redo it with more content that fills the gaps, all the things that we didn't cover in the first version. And it'll be a new product. It won't be like a free upgrade. We are recreating, because that course is pretty old, and that's something that we will be doing, teaching you more how to blend words. When I do accent reduction sessions, which I don't do often because I'm busy, but if somebody comes to me and their Italian is already very good, I help them know when to drop the vowels. We don't want to hear all the vowels, and I'll teach you that. Anyway, studenti, grazie mille. I think we're done. I really think we're done. Don't want to waste your time. So if you don't have any questions, I will see you next Thursday, US time, but next Thursday, same time for Caffè Italiano, 100% in slow Italian or 100% in italiano lento. And that's it. We are done. Guardate che spettacolo, che bello. Noi ci vediamo. I'll see you everywhere. Podcast is starting back in, I believe, September now. And yeah, ciao ciao ciao. Buonanotte, buona giornata a tutti. Ciao 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 ciao.